Order tonight's Committee of the Whole for the Auburn City Council meeting of April the 19th, 2022. The council should have the minutes from our April the 5th Committee of the Whole. Are there any additions or corrections to those minutes? If not, is there a move to approve?
So moved. Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the minutes are carried forth. Board of Education, Mayor Pro Tem Whitten.
Yes, sir. We have one vacancy. Term begins June 1st, 2022, ends May 31st, 2027. And our incumbent, Charles Smith, has served 2 full terms. We appreciate his steadfast service over those 2 terms. And we had 6 outstanding interviews last week. And of those, I would like to nominate Sharon Tolbert.
Second.
Have a motion and a second for Sharon Talbert. Any other nominations?
Yes, Mr. Mayor, I'd like to nominate Dr. Florence Holland.
All right. Florence Holland. Okay, any other nominations?
Is there a second on that?
Is there a second on the Florence Holland nomination? Thank you, Brett. Is there a second?
Second.
Okay, they have a second. Okay. All right, so we've got 2 nominees. Any others? Anybody else like to make a nomination? Okay, so we have a motion and a second for both of these. Any discussion?
I would just like to acknowledge Sharon's tenure in public service over 30 years. She is a product herself of Auburn City Schools. She's had 2 sons graduate from Auburn City Schools. She indicated through her interview she understood the challenges that the school system faces. And I believe that her historical value, her institutional knowledge, and her perspective, not only as a former student, a parent, and a stakeholder, that she would do a great job on the board.
Any other comments?
Yeah, the reason that I spoke of, that I've nominated Dr. Holland is I've been following her consistent attention that she pays to City Council and to civic service in general. She's applied on a number of occasions for this position. She's eminently qualified. Her life revolves around the area of education. And I must also say that what a wonderful group of candidates that we had. All of them are excellent potential
Agreed.
potential board members, and I appreciate them all showing up.
Thank you, Bob.
I'd like to echo what Bob said. I thought we had an excellent pool of candidates, and Dr. Holland did an excellent job. I think she would do a good job. However, I am supporting Sharon Talbert tonight because I feel like Sharon will bring a unique perspective to the board, and she can relate to all the students in our school system. And I think she'll be someone that's very approachable and parents are able to talk to and things like that. So I've been very impressed with her throughout her career.
Anyone else?
I also would like to say that, after the interviews and everything, like you said, we had some pretty good candidates and everything. And, but I would like to support Sharon. One thing that stood out to me about her in her interview is the fact that, she's worked with the Housing Authority all these years. And she has also worked with the city of Auburn for a number of years. So she has children that's in the school system, as Councilwoman Whitten says, and she's a prodigy of the Auburn school system. So I support Sharon. All of them did a great job, but I am going to support Sharon tonight.
Thank you, Ms. Taylor. Any other comments from the council? I certainly want to thank everybody that applied. We had 12 applications. I'm very proud that the citizens of this community that have those kind of resumes want to be a part of our community. That's extremely encouraging, and we're very blessed for that. The 6 individuals that participated in the interviews came prepared, and they all brought something unique and different. And certainly it's my encouragement to the ones who are not selected tonight that they will find their place in our community in somewhere. And I thank them all for extending themselves and being a part of that. Tonight, my support will be with Sharon Talbert as well. I believe in Sharon Talbert. She has done an outstanding job working and leading our housing authority for a number of years. I believe she will be a great decision maker and problem solver for our school system as they go into an era of explosive growth and big time decisions. And I really trust the way Sharon will go about being a part of a 5-person board. But all the people that we had, and especially all the people we interviewed, were outstanding, and I appreciate all of them being willing to go through that process. All right. Okay, if there's no other comments, we'll vote. We'll take Ms. Talbert first. So all in favor of Sharon Talbert, please say aye.
Aye.
All right, all in favor of Dr. Florence Holland, please say aye.
Aye.
Ms. Talbert. Okay. Item number 4, Mural Community Art Study Committee Progress Report.
Thank you, Mayor. Councilperson Parsons and I have, you tasked us with having an art mural study group, and we started late February, and we've been meeting every other Monday. And Councilperson Parsons has been giving updates along the way. And tonight, we'd like to just present kind of where we are with that. And if I may, I'd like to call on the city manager to have Mr. Cummings do a recap for us.
Absolutely, Mr. Cummings.
Thank you. It's been a pleasure to work with you on this committee so far. And I'm going to give a quick recap, and if you have any questions, we'll be glad to discuss those. So, been honored to represent the staff team of Steve Foote, our planning director, Katie Robinson, Becky Richardson, Sarah Custer, and along with Stephanie Kennedy, looking at different perspectives. As we started this, launched this program, or committee study group, in February 28th. Since then, we've had presentations from Montgomery Community Arts Commission, Auburn Opelika Tourism, Auburn University Jules Collins Smith Museum of Fine Arts. Following that presentation mostly focused on art programs, community art, and really focused on the community synergies that art programs were able to bring, and also a sense of corporate partnerships as well. And from that, we did additional studies, also looking into communities, mainly focused on the state of Alabama, looking at similar type of arts, murals, programs, and in doing so, we made phone calls to both the planning and arts commission side. We did research on the internet. We know y'all did some homework on your own as well, but in doing so, we contacted Mobile, Florence, Mountain Brook, Tuscaloosa, Huntsville, Montgomery, and Opelika. So what we saw in that was a common thread of the way the communities looked at murals, and in particular, I'm focusing on murals right now, but the murals were basically silent as far as a lot of discussion within the zoning regulations. However, if it was a sign, the murals were treated under the sign ordinance, sign regulations. And so if a mural was not a sign, it was art. It did not have a commercial appeal. It was not focused on advertising the business, products, or services. It was a form of art, and was treated, managed by the arts program. For the most part, some did not deal or regulate art on private property, but just on the public side of things. So with that, on April 11th, the study committee had drawn a conclusion of several objectives, and from that, staff have already begun to look into potential zoning ordinance text amendments to address murals. First, I'm going to talk about murals, and then I'll summarize what was concluded on the arts. But as far as murals go, the objectives were to remove the prohibition of murals from the zoning ordinance. Second was to look at reviewing and amending the mural definition as necessary. Other components of that will be looking at the sign ordinance itself and anything that relates to murals and the signs that could affect this ordinance. Consideration of potential limitations of murals within residential neighborhoods, more the single-family detached neighborhoods. Looking at what our regulations already have, or what we can, also add as we deal with issues of nuisance and obscenities within art. And a lot of that will be limited by what we can and cannot regulate through freedom of speech. We'll consider restrictions on public health, safety, and welfare for murals is one thing we're looking into. For there, we don't want a busy mural on the side of a building on a busy road where it's distracting drivers and we have a risk of accidents as a result. And then graffiti came up in discussion, and graffiti in some contexts is art, but most of the time we look at it in a negative sense. So I want to look at that, and graffiti, I guess, really kind of boils down to, is it permitted to be on the building or not? And so that one could get a little interesting as we dive into that discussion. But those were the objectives. I believe I got those correct. If
For murals, yes.
Yes.
And then we discussed public art as a whole.
yes. And so the conclusions that we had documented on art is promote the things we're doing. There's a lot of art programs and art within the community already. And one we want to do is utilize, we've got a lot of information that's already on our websites. We want to point people in that direction. We want to utilize our Parks and Rec social media to be able to get the messages out. One component of public art that we have in Auburn that is publicized that we don't think about a whole lot, but it's the Tiger Trail. And there's a very good GIS program that you can go through and trace and look and see where people are located, as far as their monuments. We also talked about doing a GIS layer to have an interactive map similar to the Tiger Trail map to be able to go find where art is in Auburn. And so those are some things that we can utilize to promote what we have in place. And then further the discussion would be looking further down the road at potentially Auburn 2040, having a subcommittee that would allow the community stakeholders to bring concepts and ideas about what the community would like to see as far as public art. So with that in mind, we met this morning and satisfied one of the objectives and discussed some draft text amendments. From that, our staff are taking those, and we'll be meeting with our legal counsel later this week and hopes to have a rough draft of what those text amendments are beginning to look like the first of next week. And then the goal is targeting sometime in mid-May or so to have a joint work session with the City Council and Planning Commission to present those text amendments for discussion and consideration to move forward.
Okay.
So,
Thank you, Scott. Is there any follow-up, Ms. Whitten or Mr. Parsons, from your perspective?
I would just like to thank the staff and all those that, especially Jana Jager and Marcus Marshall, who were from the Planning Commission, who also served on the study group, and just the time that everybody took over the course of February through now. And I think it's positive steps forward, and I'm excited to see how the joint work session evolves and what our next steps are, because I think art has a place in Auburn, and I think the consensus of the study group was that we are definitely in favor of ensuring that we give credence to at least murals in our community, and then furthering the discussion, because public art, as we learned through one of our stakeholder presentations, is a much more involved process than just saying we want a commission or just saying we want this. There's a lot that goes into that. So it needs a lot more vetting, a lot more conversations around it. So I think the recommendations that came out of that group are concise and give the right path forward.
Thank you. Bob, anything?
I'd just like to thank you, Scott, for your steady hand with this. It's been a great pleasure having these discussions with everybody, and I'm looking forward to a positive outcome of this.
and thank y'all. Y'all have kept us on task.
Appreciate it, Scott.
Thank you, Scott. Thank you to all the staff that have assisted on this. Okay. Questions on the agenda for the city manager? Any questions from the council? All right, City Manager, is there
Mayor,
some?
if I may, since Friday, we've had 3 changes to the agenda. One is item 8C5 has been removed from the agenda. Item 10A7, and I'll go back over these if you need me to. 10A7 has been also withdrawn at the request of the applicant. That's the tavern conditional use. The applicant does not wish to pursue that conditional use request at this time. And then on item 9C2, it has not been withdrawn. That's a Swan Farms rezoning to PDD. And in further discussions with the applicant, there were some conditions put on at the time of the Planning Commission meeting that have since been resolved. And so when we get to that item on the regular agenda, I'm going to remind you that there's conditions 1 and 2 that are in your draft ordinance that staff is requesting be removed because the applicant has satisfied those conditions.
Okay.
Megan, you said 8C5 was one of them.
8C5, yes.
What was the reason behind that?
I've had a lot of questions from council members, and there's been more time requested just to understand what's going on legislatively with the city, and I'm happy to oblige.
Thank you.
Megan, the second one was resolution on 10-7, correct?
10A7,
27, yes, on the very back.
10A7, thank you.
Up top.
yes, and the applicant, that happened this afternoon, and the applicant is moving on with a restaurant in that location, which does not require conditional use approval. They will be back to you 2 weeks from now for what is called a restaurant retail alcohol license, which means 51% food sales, and alcohol is secondary to the primary use of a restaurant.
Okay. Any other questions from the council? If not, is there a move to adjourn the committee of the whole?
So moved.
All right, we'll adjourn the committee of the whole, and we'll go ahead and open up the regular agenda tonight for the Auburn City Council meeting for April the 19th, 2022, with a roll call. Lindsay?
Dawson,
Here.
Dixon,
Here.
Griswold,
Here.
Hovey,
Here.
Parsons,
Here.
Smith,
Present.
Taylor,
Here.
Witten,
Here.
Anders.
Here. Would you please rise for the reciting of the Pledge of Allegiance and then remain standing for a moment of silence. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. Please be seated. As far as mayor's announcements tonight, during our committee of the whole, we did appoint Ms. Sharon Talbert to the Board of Education. Certainly, I want to repeat that we are thankful for everybody that participated in this process. I'm very grateful for our citizens who wanted to serve and sought that opportunity. And then we received a progress report on the Mural and Community Art Study Group that Scott basically gave for us. As I go into some other announcements tonight, I've got a number of things I'd like to walk through. First of all, Auburn lost a couple of just great people in the last couple of weeks. Mr. James Eccles, who for most of my life worked for the Lipscomb family at Toomer's Drugs. He mixed probably thousands and thousands of lemonades. He got on a scooter and was delivering prescriptions long before our pizza businesses were delivering pizzas. He was such a part of the fabric of Auburn, passed away. And then Mr. Sga King, who would come here in the early summer and present the city with a check to provide for our July 4th fireworks on behalf of Briggs & Stratton. He was the HR director at Briggs & Stratton, lost his life past week to cancer. He was a prince of a fella and really loved his adopted community, and those are two good people. When you think about why Auburn is a unique and special place, it's because special people have chosen to live here, and James and Sga were two of those people. Yesterday, we had a great announcement, an exciting announcement. Our Congressman Mike Rogers was in town, and we were proud to. I was proud to visit with him for 30 minutes and thank him for his support. He assisted in attaining an appropriation, a federal appropriation for $3 million that is helping us expand the Auburn Center for Developing Industries. I think Mikey has always been helpful to Auburn. This was something that our industrial development team and our economic development employees have wanted to see now for a while, and we're going to have a nice, interesting, beautiful new building that's going to assist us in many ways. And I thank Mike for his hard work. And Ms. Crouch, I didn't know if we could get a little brief for the council on what goes on out there at ACDI.
Sure. I have our Deputy Director of Economic Development. We have Mr. Arndt Seatman here, and he'll approach the podium and he can tell you a little more. This is a fantastic project, a very innovative thing that the city's economic development staff came up with, but it's in partnership with many other people, which is one of the reasons Congressman Rogers could support it. It's very regional in nature, and Mr. Seatman will go over that a little bit. Arndt?
Sure. Yes, thank you. The Auburn Center of Developing Industries, as you know, sits on Pumphrey Avenue. We've used this for years for our startups and entrepreneurial programs. About 4 years ago, we dedicated 2 of the buildings of each 10,000 square foot to our training workforce programs. We created the Advanced Manufacturing Training Center, focusing specifically on technology transfer in our industries and upskilling workforce. This is in partnership, as Megan said, with the community college, university, etc. About 2.5 years ago, the university has created ICAMS, an institute through engineering, and is co-locating with us at that location. And the appropriation that you're describing will allow us to build a center building for training and conferences to bring academia, industry, and workforce together. Good. So we're very excited.
Thank you, Mr. Seatman.
Sure.
We appreciate it. Thanks for your hard work. So once again, thanks Congressman Rogers for his support. In a related topic, I'm proud and fortunate to serve on the board of the Auburn Research and Technology Foundation, and we meet quarterly. And at our recent meeting, we were proud to report that Auburn is now one of the top 100 research universities in the United States. And it's really interesting to really think about how that impacts our community with jobs and just talent that will come to our community. But it's also an opportunity for our students to learn and do research in areas that are unique. And this really works to what we're doing at ACDI, because some of the things that go on in our research park end up being partners, and we end up working together within the city. So very exciting, the work that's going on out at ARTF, and I'm very thankful for everybody's support with this endeavor out there. I want to thank our Parks and Rec for working with our weather this weekend and making the Easter egg hunt happen. I'm glad we use plastic eggs. That comes in benefit when you have a rain shower, but thank you. I know the children had a great time. I know Anna's here. We had a wonderful Tiger Trail ceremony a couple of Fridays ago. As Scott was mentioning a while ago, it is a piece of public art in downtown. We inducted 8 new members into the Tiger Trail. A couple of them have had articles in our paper here recently. A very proud night for them and their families. They were all very humbled to be chosen to be a part of the Tiger Trail of Auburn, and we look forward to seeing their plaques in the ground and the sidewalk soon. I was fortunate and blessed to be a part of the Esperanza House open house recently. What a wonderful ministry that the Esperanza House is providing for our Hispanic children in this community. They are doing everything from providing shoes to helping them with homework to helping them to participate in sports and other youth activities in our community. It was a very special night to listen to their report of all their great work in our community. Also, I was able to be a part of the Auburn Global open house that happened a couple of Fridays ago over at the Jewel Collins Smith, and I appreciate the vision of Auburn Global. We're bringing all of the people from so many different nationalities that we have living in our community, primarily in and around the university, together for a day of just fellowship and food and a time to get to know each other. So I thank those members of the Auburn VP of Outreach's department and all the people that put some time into that. Many of us here were at the True Deliverance ribbon cutting for Bishop Talbert and his church's new facility. What a great asset that's going to be to Northwest Auburn and really probably to all of Auburn. And I'm just grateful for their investment in the community. That church has really made an investment in the people here that they serve, and certainly thankful for that. We're very proud to be the home of the Alabama Boys and Girls Club Youth of the Year. Lanina Woods, and I hope I got that pronounced right, and if not, I apologize. But this past weekend, she was chosen as the Youth of the Year in the state of Alabama, and we appreciate always the great work of the Boys and Girls Club, and proud that one of our youth was chosen as their best one here in the state of Alabama. We had an Sga Breakfast recently. Great again to continue our conversations with SGA. I know they're going to come forward and talk about an activity we're going to have here later on this week. Today I was also had an opportunity to eat lunch with the Lee County Home Builders. What a great group of people who are working hard to build new homes in this community. I just appreciate everything that they do, the amount of people that they employ, all of their subs that are working hard. These are great jobs that happen right here in Auburn, and I thank them. And then myself and Ms. Witten and the city manager entertain the Auburn young leaders here in our chambers right now, right where we are tonight, and talk to them about our form of government and how we do business in Auburn and how does that compare to our sister cities here in Lee County. And I just appreciate those young people. I mean, there's a lot of things they can be distracted by at this season of their life, and they have chosen to be a part of a program that makes them be committed to something, and I think they meet once a month for a significant amount of time. I look forward to going to their graduation next Tuesday night and celebrating all of their great work. Tomorrow night, we do have an industry appreciation dinner and event that our Chamber of Commerce is helping the city, and maybe they're taking the lead on that, but we're excited about being there. And we thank all of our industries, again, for what they do in the city of Auburn, the people that they employ, what they provide for us economically and allow us to do here in this community. I'm very thankful for them and look forward to celebrating with them. Also, last Friday, Cops on Top occurred at our Kroger's here in Auburn and Opelika. That's a fundraiser for Special Olympics, and Paul, I appreciate our police department being involved. I know Opelika's police were involved, and Lee County Sheriff's, but what a great event to bring attention to a special group of citizens that we have in our community and raise money to allow them to go do some things that are very exciting for them. And then finally, there was a trial that ended last week, and I just want to say to our police officers and our public safety leadership, thank you for being great leaders. Thank you for never giving up. Thank you for pursuing justice to the very end. That was difficult for all of us to recall and go back through, but I appreciate that we never gave up, and we brought some closure to that family. So thank you, Paul, to you and all your officers. Okay? All right. Anyone else have an announcement tonight?
Mayor, if I may add to
Yes.
something you just said, I want to say how much I appreciate Director Register. Had a lot of responsibility in that case. He worked it from the very beginning, and it was sort of his baby. And I appreciate your leadership in that case and what you did. I know it wasn't easy, but thank you for being keeping it going and making it happen.
Anyone else? Yes, Kelly?
Yes, thank you, Mr. Mayor. One announcement, the Alabama League of Municipalities puts out a monthly magazine, and I highly encourage all of y'all who are interested in the arts program, take a look at it. They had an extensive presentation in there about murals across the state of Alabama, various communities, and had a lot of examples and things. I'm sure it's available online. Again, it's the Alabama League of Municipalities, or obviously through our public library. But if you're interested in that, I highly commend you to take a look at it. And the other one is not so much an announcement as it is an acknowledgement, and I would like to thank the city council and the city staff. Our process for selection of planning commission members and Board of Education board members has been put to the test here over the last month, where we had a significant number of fantastic candidates who went through the interview process, and it allowed us to make better judgments on just what it is we need to do. And I think that's a process that the council has put in place over the last several years that has really come to fruition. So I'd just like to acknowledge that. Thank you all.
Yeah. Thank you, Kelly. Anyone else? Okay.
Real quick, Mayor, just wanted to echo what you were saying about the Easter egg at Kiesel. Speaking as a father of three, we had a fantastic time. My oldest daughter did want to say thank you, and she thought it was the neatest thing that the city has the pool to bring the Easter Bunny to. And so it was a really great event, and the weather, we were concerned about the weather, but we had an opportunity, and it made Easter better for us. So thank you very much for everything, for that event.
Great. Thank you. Okay. Auburn University Communications.
Hello, hello. For those of you who may not remember me, my name is Olivia Sutherland. I'll be serving as this year's Director of City Relations for SGA. So I'm really looking forward to a great year. I'm replacing Anna, and she did a great job, so I have big shoes to fill. And I'm sorry in advance for any bad jokes I may tell over the course of the year, but you'll get used to it, I promise. So to start us off, I want to thank you so much again for another fantastic city breakfast with the mayor and the city manager and other city staff. It was very successful as always, and we're really looking forward to continuing that over the summer. Also, as he kind of mentioned, Ron on the Lawn is this Thursday from 11 to 1 on the Haley Concourse. So it's really more Ron on the Con. I'm looking for a patch of turf to put you on for the sake of accuracy, but we'll see how successful I'll be with that. But we're very excited, and we're expecting a big turnout for that event. Also, members of SGA this morning helped distribute marketing materials for AU10 today. That's our initiative to give students a 10% off discount at participating businesses for showing their Tiger cards. So we got some posters and some other marketing materials out there today, and we're excited to continue promoting that. Also, gymnastics made it to the Final Four in the NCAA championship this weekend, and that was their highest placement in program history. So we're very excited about the ceiling for that. Also, Auburn has its first Truman Scholar in 10 years. The Truman Scholarship is a very prestigious scholarship. It's federally funded, and it's for students that are dedicated to pursuing careers in public service leadership. 58 students were selected nationally, and we had one of them. His name is Alan Lee. We are very proud of him, and he happens to be one of my closest friends, so I'm hoping he rubs off on me when he gets back from all of his events. Also, just finally, we have the Office of Inclusion and Diversity hosted an inaugural State of Inclusion and Diversity event on Thursday. It was focused on highlighting the steps that Auburn has taken to, make Auburn's campus more diverse and equitable and inclusive over the past couple years, and on the goals that they're taking to continue their progress with that. So we're very excited about where that's going as well. Thank you, and War Eagle.
Thank you, Olivia. And we talked about this the other day at breakfast. Since there's going to be so many people there, there's no real reason for the council to come Thursday, right?
Well, I think they could make an appearance.
But will there be T-shirts?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Oh, I don't know about that. Maybe. There might be.
All right, let's move forward.
There's time.
There's two
This
kinds
time-
of T-shirts, Ron on the Lawn and Ron on the Con.
Ron on the Con.
I want the latter.
Nothing like taking one for the team. All right. Now's an opportunity for citizens' communications on items on tonight's agenda. This is just items on tonight's agenda. If you would like to speak to the city council, please come forward, and we'll ask you that you give your name and address for the record. You'll have 5 minutes. Some of our things on the agenda do have public hearings. If you would like to speak on an item that has a public hearing, we would ask that you wait till that time to speak to us. Okay? Anyone? Okay. Let's move ahead. City manager's communications.
Just as a reminder, items 8C5 and 10A7 have both been removed from the agenda. Moving forward into, on one other reminder, this is our last meeting that starts at 7 p.m. Just to make everybody aware, once again, the council amended its rules and moved the start time of city council meetings moving forward to 6 p.m. I do anticipate the May 3rd meeting, Committee of the Whole, to start around 5:30. We will have the citizen survey presentation that's only slated to last 15 minutes, so it may be 5:40 that we start. But just remember, the regular meeting will start at 6 p.m. And just for everybody listening on WANI as well as tuning in through YouTube or Facebook Live, all of those times have been adjusted, including our live captioning. So we're fully prepared and ready to give it a try.
Thank you. Thanks for that reminder.
All right, so our first item of business is the consent agenda. Does any council member wish to remove an item from that consent agenda and deal with it individually?
Yes, ma'am.
Sure.
Item 8C1
All right.
and 8C4, 8C7, 1, 4, and 7.
Okay. Any
Anyone
others?
else? Anyone else? Okay.
Item 8D. D.
8D.
D.
Okay.
All right, item 8C1 is authorization of of a contract with the Alabama Power Company for the relocation and installation of street lighting along Wire Road at the soccer complex roundabout in the amount of $64,592.07.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. I'll turn it over to you, Chief Dawson.
I just want to say, I think this is a good thing for Wire Road. It'll slow the speed down right in that area there by the soccer complex. Should help folks coming out of Tampa Farms and Cordero Acres have slower traffic. Only thing that I would ask Miss Megan is that it not take as long as the other one did.
The lighting or the roundabout is is under a different contract. The lighting, I think, will be relatively fast. In terms of the roundabout, that's actually rolled into the contract for the construction of the soccer complex. So we're very hopeful. It would be hard to add additional capacity to the complex and not have that ready.
I'll probably get strung up if it takes as long as the other one had.
I hear you loud and clear, and then City Engineer Frazier knows that projects from you to me to her.
Long rope.
All right. Any other comments from the council? All right, we've got a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries.
Item 8C4 amends a contract with Axon Enterprises for the purchase of 15 additional in-car cameras, 26 body-worn cameras, and 20 additional tasers. The annual contract amount will increase by $111,388.58 in year 2 and $93,214.44 for each year for years 3 through 5.
Move to approve.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Chief, I'll turn it back over to you.
I just wanted to say briefly how much I appreciate what the public safety is doing. Can't think of anything better to spend the money on for the most part in today's climate other than the in-car cameras and the 26 body-worn cameras and 20 tasers. Having been hit with a taser before, they do the job. I can assure you that. But I just appreciate the leadership, and I'm happy the city. I hope the city council will pass this with no problem. I think it shows we support our public safety department, police, and it means a lot for this community.
Absolutely. Any other comments from the council? Certainly agree with you, Tommy. Supporting our men and women that protect us is vital and most important. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Item 8C7 awards the construction contract for the new Environmental Services and Public Works Complex to be located on Wire Road near the intersection of Beehive Road. It awards it to Stone Building LLC in the amount of $27,294,225.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Chief Dawson?
I just want to say how much this is needed. I know it's a lot of money. That's one reason I wanted to bring it forward, is so the citizens know what we're spending it on. But I see some of those folks in the back there that I've been knowing for a long time, and this is a long time coming. I'm just proud that I can be a part of hopefully getting this to y'all, getting you in your new building. I know the city shop, for one, is the way it's been for the last 35 years. A man named Mr. Bill Plummer used to run that city shop, and I made a mistake as a young rookie police officer, run over a dead animal on the interstate and got it hung under my car and pulled into the bay, and it stunk up the whole city shop. I almost got run off before I got started at the police department. So I'm very happy to see this come forward, and I know y'all enjoy your new building if we can get it built. Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Appreciate that anecdote. Great story. All right, anybody else on council?
So is this for the whole project? Is this the relocate?
It relocates, so both the Environmental Services Department, which includes Fleet Services, which is across Donahue from where they sit now, and the entire Public Works Department. We were able to take a number of alternates so we can protect our equipment with pole barns. We are concreting the main driveway areas because all of our garbage trucks, heavy dump trucks, all kinds of things traverse this area. And this is adequate space. We're also adding some additional bays to Fleet Services over and above where we are today. This will allow a mechanic who's waiting on a part, which is pretty common these days, to go to another bay with another vehicle and hopefully get that vehicle back in service even sooner. So it is doing what we needed to. Chief Dawson's comment, I have a lot of staff members that have been working in undersized facilities for a long time, and our Fleet Services has been, since we built this building, because police was way underserved. They have been in the toughest conditions, and I look forward to the day that we can move them into much better conditions. They maintain a massive fleet and do it with a smile on their face and service the entire city staff with all that they do and all that we need to keep things moving and serving our citizens. So this is an exciting day for us. I look forward to inviting both departments out and all the members of those departments to shovel dirt out there before we get moving so they can all throw their own bit of dirt. It's been a long time coming, and I'm proud that we're here right now.
Anybody else?
Exciting for those departments, and certainly the expansion and updates are needed, but it's also representative of sort of the first domino, in a series of upgrades and additions and changes to the city that we've been talking about and anticipating for a few years. So I certainly want to celebrate, fleet services and all of their upgrades, but I do want to point out and celebrate the representation of, the next step in several facility upgrades and changes. And
Absolutely. Councilman Hovey, if I may, referring to, we have a lot of exciting projects slated for what we call the Boykin Donahue campus moving up, and with the relocation of Public Works and Environmental Services, we also have a fueling depot there. Don't worry, we're not going to take recycling away. We're just going to move it across the street. This will enable us to begin a massive project at the Boykin Community Center that we'll talk a lot about in the month of June during the budgeting process. You've approved a number of design contracts, and we're getting to the point we'll have preliminary cost estimates and be able to make better recommendations about which parts of that project, if not all of it, move forward. And to remind everyone, that'll include a gymnasium with 2 basketball courts, a full fitness facility, a number of meeting/exercise rooms, potentially a splash pad, a branch library, and one of the most important things that we had embarked on this journey with is the Auburn Cultural Center. And it'll be a cultural center to celebrate our Black and African American heritage within Auburn, and that's the main focus of that cultural center in specifically that neighborhood. So that's a piece that's not movable in the first phase at all. But we're going to see where numbers come down, and we'll talk about that in the budgeting process.
So the exciting thing is we've got great employees who have endured a difficult facility to work in for many years, and we're proud to give them a better place to work. The practical side is we're growing so much as a city that we need more space to work in, and so this will solve that as well. But what's also awesome is what will replace it. We'll be able to reimagine what the Boykin campus looks like, and that's going to be great for all of us in Auburn. So there's a lot of ways to look at this project and see that our whole community is going to benefit greatly from it. All right.
I have a question for
Sure.
the city manager. Okay, so this contract, it says is to complete the new environmental services and public works facility. So we've already done all the design contracts, so this is great. This is really good. What should we anticipate in the future in terms of other contracts to support this new facility? Are we talking about, lighting and
So the
anything like that,
main
or-
thing you're going to talk about, and you'll see in the budgeting process, we have some equipment and furnishings to go. Your FF&E really is. So you'll see mainly in the environmental services realm for fleet, we've got a number of things that have to go into the building that are not in the base construction contract. And that's along the lines of roughly $1 million, and my staff is looking at me to make sure that, and that will come in the budgeting process and has never been part of building this into the base pricing. This is the construction only of the facility, the only other equipping of furniture that we don't move, which I'll be happy to tour you through the fantastic furniture that we have. I anticipate some additional furnishings, but again, we're going to capture that and talk about that in June, and you'll see that in capital outlay.
like compactors and specialized equipment? Is that,
Like a trash compactor?
I mean, that's what I'm asking.
Yeah, I don't anticipate that out there at all. We'll definitely have some things that we service and take to the landfill. We will have trash and garbage. No, we're not anticipating that, and unless I'm missing something, Katrina, Allison, or Dan. No, that's it. You'll see that in capital outlay in the budget, and we'll be talking with you about that in June.
Okay, so we'll know in June what this extra $1 million is.
Yeah, the extra $1 million is a lot of equipment that Katrina can give you a quick preview if you're interested. Otherwise, we can talk about it in June,
We
whichever.
can talk about it later, it's fine.
Okay.
I just wanted to kind of capture that. So we should anticipate additional requests for funding it down the road on this project.
Yeah, but it should not be for anything construction related other than that. And so, the other thing is this building contractor is the same contractor. This is a bid project that built the parking deck where we didn't have any change orders initiated by the contractor.
Thank you.
Okay, any other comments? All right, we have a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. All
All right,
do I
and
have a
I believe-
motion? Sorry.
Nope, we have item
sorry.
8D.
Yep. I apologize.
Is a request to rename a portion of Lee Road 958, currently known as Taylor Court, we're going to call it Henry Farms Lane, and that is now in the Auburn city limits. When something gets annexed, has to have a city street name, and Taylor Court is a repetitive street name to something in the Grove Hill subdivision. So that's why this request is before you.
Okay,
That was my question.
yeah. Do I have a motion?
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, got a motion second. All right, Ms. Taylor?
She just answered.
She just answered it, all right. Any other comments or questions from the council? All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries. Now, do I have a motion to approve the balance of the consent agenda?
So moved.
Second.
All right, got a motion second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And the consent agenda is approved. Ordinances.
Under ordinances, item 9A1 enacts the annual renewal of ad valorem taxes for city taxes. 5 mils for general purposes, and that goes to the general fund, and 5 mils for capital projects debt repayment, known as the special 5 mil tax. Council must annually renew the property taxes to authorize the Lee County Revenue Commissioner to assess city property taxes. This is a renewal of existing taxes, and these are not new taxes or tax increases. Unanimous consent is necessary.
We'll be taking these one at a time.
We
Ms.
have to,
Crouch?
yes.
Okay.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
I have a motion second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward with a vote on this evening? Any comments or questions? All right, we'll be voting on 9A1. All right, Lindsay, the roll call.
Yes.
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes.
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
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 Item 9A2 enacts the annual renewal of ad valorem taxes for school taxes, 11 mils for educational purposes, known as the Special School Tax Fund. Council must annually renew the property taxes to authorize the Lee County Revenue Commissioner to assess city property taxes. This is a renewal of existing taxes, and these are not new taxes or tax increases. Unanimous consent is necessary.
I introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward with a vote on this evening? Seeing and hearing none, any comments or questions? Okay, Lindsay with a roll call.
Again, Mayor, if
Yep,
I may,
sorry.
this is existing taxes, nothing new.
Absolutely nothing new, and we must do this on an annual basis so that they can be assessed by the Revenue Commissioner.
Thank you.
Any other comments? Okay, Lindsay.
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey,
Ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Anders.
Yes.
Item 9A3 enacts the annual renewal of ad valorem taxes for school taxes, 5 mils for educational purposes, known as the Special School Tax Fund. Council must annually renew the property taxes to authorize the Lee County Revenue Commissioner to assess city property taxes. This is a renewal of existing taxes, and these are not new taxes or tax increases. Unanimous consent is necessary.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Have a motion and a second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward with a vote on this evening? Seeing and hearing none, any comments or questions?
So what's the difference in 2 and 3? They read just like,
It's the millage, one's 11 mils and one is 5 mils.
oh, it's just the mills.
Yeah, and we're required to do these separately. I wish we could do them together, but
Oh, okay.
So a total of 16 mils.
total 16 mils for the schools. And then you already renewed one, the 5 mil tax fund in the city side is slightly different, but has been dedicated to repayment of school debt.
Any other comments, questions? Okay, Lindsay, roll call.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Dixon,
Yes.
Yes.
Item 9B1 is a request from Foresight Group LLC on behalf of Swan Farm LLC to annex approximately 77.3 acres of property located at the southeast corner of Cox Road and Wire Road. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its March 17th meeting. Unanimous consent is necessary.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward with a vote on this evening? All right, any comments or questions? Okay, Lindsay with a roll call?
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Dixon,
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Yes.
Item 9B2 is a request from Mike Marr on behalf of James and Mary Gibson to annex approximately 8.87 acres of property located at 3495 Lee Road 146, also known as Moore's Mill Road. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. Unanimous consent is necessary.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
All right, have a motion and a second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward to vote on this evening? Hearing none, any comments or questions? Okay, Lindsay?
Parsons,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Dixon,
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Anders.
Yes.
Item 9B3 is a request from Mount Sinai Church to annex approximately 4.38 acres of property located at 2143 Lee Road 72, also known as West Farmville Road. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. Unanimous consent is necessary.
I'll introduce.
Go ahead.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask for unanimous consent.
Second.
Have a motion and second. Does anyone on the council have a problem moving forward to vote on this evening? Seeing here none, any comments or questions? Okay, Lindsay?
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Dixon,
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Anders.
Yes.
Item 9C1 is a request from Foresight Group LLC on behalf of Swan Farm LLC to rezone approximately 77.3 acres from rural to development district housing for property located at the southeast corner of the Cox and Wire Road intersection. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its March 17th meeting. Unanimous consent is necessary and a public hearing is required.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask unanimous consent.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. At this time, we'll open up the public hearing. If you'd like to address the city council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council? Okay, Lindsay, with a roll call?
Taylor,
Yes.
Witten,
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Dixon,
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
Anders.
Yes.
Item 9C2 is a request from Foresight Group LLC on behalf of Swan Farm LLC to rezone approximately 77.3 acres from Development District Housing to Planned Development District for property located at the southeast corner of the Cox and Wire Road intersection. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its March 17th meeting. As a reminder, planning conditions number 1 and number 2 in the proposed ordinance have been satisfied and can be removed from the proposed ordinance. Unanimous consent is necessary and a public hearing is required.
I'll introduce the ordinance and ask unanimous consent.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This time we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the city council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. See no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions?
I'd like to amend that motion to include removing conditions 1 and 2.
Second.
All right. Ms. Crouch, how do we need to handle that
You've got a
procedurally?
motion and a second. You just vote on the amendment to the motion, and then you move it on through.
Okay, is a voice vote okay?
Absolutely.
All right. We do have a motion and a second on this. Would you repeat that again, Ms. Witten?
Yes, I'd like to amend the motion, the ordinance to remove conditions 1 and 2.
Okay, and we do have a second on that. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, that motion carries. All right, any other comments or questions? Now we're dealing with the amended motion.
Then you- Yep, you can call roll if you're ready.
All right, go Lindsay.
Yes.
Dawson,
Yes, ma'am.
Dixon,
Yes.
Griswold,
Yes, ma'am.
Hovey,
Yes, ma'am.
Parsons,
Yes.
Smith,
Yes, ma'am.
Taylor,
Yes.
Anders.
Yes.
Item 10A1 is a request from Brett Basquin on behalf of Minerva Enterprises LLC for conditional use approval of a road service use, a banquet drive-through located at 1901 East Glen Avenue in the Comprehensive Development District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. At this time, we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council?
Yes, Mr. Mayor.
Yes.
I'm a little bit concerned about the potential for additional traffic and backup along there if we have some kind of a vehicular service drive-through. I know it says that there will not be time to order, it's just for pickup, but even so, I'm afraid that we might have an issue with that.
Oh, this one's for the bank.
This is for the bank,
For the bank.
10A1.
Okay, I will withhold those comments and bring them up in a little bit. All right, wrong one.
Unless they're serving food at the bank, and then that might be kind of cool.
They might need to, as many banks as we have in town.
Hopefully chicken tenders.
Chicken fingers in the bank.
Okay, any other comments? Not related to pickup windows. Okay. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Whoops.
Item 10A2 is a request from Brett Baskin on behalf of Richie and Richie for conditional use approval of a performance residential use, a multi-unit development for property located at 2240 East University Drive in the Comprehensive Development District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, have a motion is second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address. See no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries.
Item 10A3 is a request from Brett Baskin on behalf of Swan Farm LLC for conditional use approval of office, road service, nursery, commercial support, and commercial and entertainment uses for property located at the southeast corner of the Cox and Wire Road intersection in the Planned Development District, Housing Zoning District with a Planned Development District designation. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its March 17th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
Have a motion is second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. See no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council?
I'm excited to see this go in, where it's going. It's the first thing you see when you go past the roundabout coming into on Wire Road. Houses falling in. I think it's a great addition, and I'm very excited about getting rid of what's up there now.
Any other comments or questions? We certainly are grateful for an investment like this in our community. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Item 10A4 is a request from Elizabeth Bragg on behalf of Auburn Bank for conditional use approval of a commercial and entertainment use, a hotel, to be located at 100 North Gay Street in the Urban Core Zoning District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. See no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council?
Mayor, I'm going to abstain.
Sure. Mr. Hovey will be abstaining. Any other comments or questions?
Just looking forward to another great addition to our downtown.
Have a great impact on Auburn, no question about it. All right, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Item 10A5 is a request from Parker Lewis on behalf of Chris Birdsong for conditional use approval of a performance residential development, expansion of a multiple unit development for property located at 519 and 525 North Ross Street in the Redevelopment District Zoning District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This time we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, we ask that you please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. See no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council?
I would just like to acknowledge Mr. Birdsong's efforts in that area. He's done a great job of rehabbing some really old and dilapidated structures, and I just commend him for his investment in Auburn. Thank you.
Any other comments or questions? Yes, Kelly?
Mayor, under the staff comments, it says, the floor plans for the additional units have not yet been reviewed to verify that the units are not private dormitories. Is that still the status of the Planning Commission's review, the staff's
Mr. Foote?
review? Excuse me.
Yes, sir. That's a condition of approval that would be in your resolution or in the Planning Commission resolution. So we'll check that at a later time.
All right, so if we approve this, you'll verify that they're not private dormitories prior
Yes, sir.
to executing it?
Yes,
Okay,
sir.
Thank
That's
you.
correct, and that would also have to be done as part of our development review process anyway.
Okay, thank you.
Any other comments or questions from the council? Okay, all in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That motion carries. All right, Kelly, you ready?
I'm
All right,
ready now.
Here we go, Megan.
And I apologize if I butcher a name. Item 10A6 is a request from Fen Mound on behalf of Robert Patton for conditional use approval of a road service use fast food restaurant with drive-through for Chipotle, currently located at 346 West Magnolia Avenue in the Urban Neighborhood West Zoning District. Planning Commission recommended approval by a vote of 7-2 at its April 14th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. This time we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, we please ask that you come forward and give us your name and address for the record.
Mayor, I would like to add that City Council operates a little different than Planning Commission, so if the applicant is going to speak, unless you have questions for them, this is the only time to do it.
All right, so if the applicant would like to speak to the council, this would be the time to do that. Okay, anybody else? All right, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions? I will let you go first, Mr. Griswold.
Well, thank you. Let me reiterate what I said earlier inadvertently. I'm concerned about the additional traffic that a road service use or a drive-through type activity would generate along Magnolia. So that's certainly a concern. I'm not sure what the 7-2 vote was predicated on. Can you comment on what the two nay votes were, what generated the two nay votes?
I believe that was some of the shared concerns that you've mentioned, that they were concerned about the drive-throughs. We had some discussion around full-fledged menu board where you pull up an order versus a pickup window where you order online.
Okay, all right, well, I voiced my concern, so.
Good.
move on.
You did it twice, too.
That's right. I only get one vote, though.
So, Megan, to clarify, this is a pickup window, so there'll be no box there where you go up and order, then queue up. And
That's correct.
This will be
This is actually
these will
a
be
form-
phoned
yeah.
in or texted in orders or whatnot. And
Through the app, what have you. This was the former Arby's before Chipotle converted it, and at the time they removed the drive-through window. It's actually a window kind of where they set tortillas and other things right now, and now they're asking to reinstall it. One thing that's happened in a number of our businesses is mobile ordering is the thing, and especially with COVID. And so we see this trend. We see it in mobile groceries and other things. It's not drive-through yet with groceries, but yeah, this is doing that. One of the challenges that we have at this site anyway is traffic is coming to the site and parking and then just picking up things and leaving. Same idea. So it is unique.
so this is happening already with mobile orders.
They
that-
they have a very robust mobile ordering, but there are also a lot of pedestrians that mobile order and come in and walk
Sure,
throughout the
okay.
neighborhood.
All right. Any other comments or questions from the council?
Does
Yeah.
the city have any, I'm sorry, Bob, go ahead.
Go ahead, Chief.
Does the city have any concerns about the traffic in the area, or we looked at it?
I have not witnessed, and I'll ask City Engineer Frazier to refer to it. We've not witnessed it. I frequently traverse that area, and yet, since the new Chick-fil-A drive-through has opened, we have traffic on Magnolia, but I cannot say that it is caused by, the traffic backup on Magnolia tends to be caused by class change time as opposed to anything else. But City Engineer Frazier, have we had complaints about traffic from Chipotle or in this vicinity?
No, we have not.
Thank you.
I was going to ask a similar question about the idea of planning the increased density and the encouragement of walkability in our downtown. Do you come across this, what appears to be some kind of a conflict in the way people move within a dense area, a densely populated area? Do you have, could you speak to the idea that the drive-through, I know I've been through the drive-through at the Chick-fil-A, and it is a little interesting negotiating the sidewalk as you come out onto Magnolia, because there are so much foot traffic there now. I wonder if you could speak to that perceived conflict there of vehicular traffic intermingling with the pedestrians.
We looked at the fact that this was an Arby's before. It had a full-fledged drive-through it in the past. Of course, it was a different day and different time. But we also, a lot of cities try to discourage drive-throughs in downtown. But the fact of the matter is that we're all in our cars all day. And so if this had been a menu board operated proposal, I think we might have looked at that a little bit differently, because I think cars tend to back up a little bit more when you've got to pull up and think about what you want and maybe ask the kids what they want and do all that stuff. So we expect this to be a little quicker. We expect it not to present a problem because of the type of restaurant that it is, as opposed to a Chick-fil-A or something of that nature. And, I don't know that it would increase the number of cars coming out already. The existing driveways are not changing, so the site is remaining substantially the same, with the exception of about 252 square foot addition for the actual window where you pull up and receive your order. I would say one other thing is that in the conditions that were recommended by staff and approved by the Planning Commission, one of those was that should the restaurant ever want to go to a full-fledged menu ordering board, that'll require an additional conditional use. So this prevents that from just hopscotching to something different that might increase the traffic more.
And one other question, is there any marked increase in vehicular accidents, vehicles versus pedestrians and so on, in this area since the advent of Chick-fil-A?
Engineer Fraser or Director Register.
No, we're both shaking our heads. We don't think so. Not that I'm aware of.
I would say, while we have not seen that, we have, the mayor can attest to, we spend a lot of meetings at the SGA talking about the robust pedestrian activity right at the crosswalk at 320 Magnolia. We have received complaints, and I have from some of you that you've heard from constituents with frustrations of traversing the area. And again, at class change time, we have probably, I think it's 7 or so crosswalks in a stretch. And so my recommendation is do not drive that way at class change time. We are looking and constantly working with the SGA and bouncing ideas around about better ways to manage the 320 Magnolia crosswalk, because while we love pedestrians, that is a free flow, free for all, called walk across the street whenever you feel like it, and yield to no one. And so we're working on that. We'll be talking with public safety. What we don't want are people hit, but we are not seeing that. We've made market improvements on Magnolia. And the nice thing about 320 Magnolia is there's light and visibility in that area in the evening and night hours, and it's a lot
Which is a
easier to
significant
see.
improvement.
We've also worked handily. We added a lot of pedestrian lights along West Magnolia in this vicinity to make it easier on pedestrians to be seen and for vehicles.
Any other comments?
I was just going to say that I actually frequent this restaurant quite regularly, and I think that it'll be a great improvement to the area, because when you go there, especially during lunchtime and dinner time, there's a lot of not a lot of parking, and cars are wrapped all around the place. I think this will help with the flow, because a lot of people, it's a one-line thing inside. This will open up 2 lanes or 2 ways for people to pick up food, and I think things will be a lot cleaner. It'll be a lot easier for people to get their food. So,
Any other comments? Okay, we do have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
aye.
Any opposed?
Nay.
All right, I believe there was 2. Kelly and Bob on the nay. Is that correct? Okay. All right, 7-2.
All right, item 10A7 has been withdrawn. Item 10A8 is a request from Lee Tharp on behalf of Phillips Family Partnership Limited and Chris Chiachi, for conditional use approval of a commercial support use distribution facility for property located at 511 West Veterans Boulevard in the Comprehensive Development District. The Planning Commission unanimously recommended approval at its April 14th meeting. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record. Seeing no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council? Okay. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? The motion carries.
Item 10B1 is a request from CL&S Subdivisions LLC to vacate an unneeded drainage and utility easement located at 1407 Reynolds Drive. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we'll have a motion and a second. This time we'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward. Give us your name and address for the record. Yes, sir. Hey.
Ken Stone, I live at 1529 Reynolds Drive. I'm also on the homeowners association that work with Stone Creek Subdivision. Trying to understand exactly what's being vacated. It appears that it's this entire 1.12 acre lot at 1407 Reynolds Drive, which butts up against the first house. That's actually in Stone Creek Subdivision. And this is a large hill or mound of fill dirt that's typically got what's in weed growth. City council, or rather, the city has a problem with and has to nag the property owner about. So I'm trying to understand the potential impacts of relinquishing that easement to someone. What are the plans for that, and how might that affect drainage for that first property that's abutting against it?
Okay. Ms. Crouch?
Well, we'll have, do you want to get all the questions and then we'll answer, or what's the pleasure of the council?
What's the primary question you had, sir? What was the first question you had?
So just to clarify, whether it's this entire crosshatched,
Okay.
Yes, it is. I'll
1.12
have
acres.
City Engineer Frazier, can you please respond to why the applicant was requesting vacation of the easement?
Typically, when easements are requested to be vacated, they are unused or unusable by the development. And so as part of our process, when we receive a request, we route it to city departments to make sure there are no issues from a city perspective if the easement were to be vacated. To my knowledge, there are no city facilities in this easement that would require us to maintain it. But the developer is present if we need to ask him more specific questions.
Does that give you the answer you were looking for?
Is the developer present?
I believe so, yes.
Okay. I did have one other question
Why don't
to
you go
the
ahead and ask
council.
that then? Yes, sir.
And that is, would this relinquishment of the easement block future installation of buried fiber utilities along the same path as the current buried utilities?
There are not utilities in this easement currently, not city nor private, is that correct,
Okay.
Allison?
Not city.
Not city, okay. So that there could be other things. There are private easements that run, even Alabama Power, those easements are between the property owner and Alabama Power, so that we cannot speak to, but there are no city utilities. We're abandoning a city easement only, so that would be up to the landowner, as well as the different utility companies have different rights of condemnation and other things if they cannot achieve the easements they wish. So it's not a question we can directly answer about the private side.
So we know we have no city utilities there, but do
Correct.
we
This
know if
is
there's any
abandoning a
private
public
utilities there? Are they,
We don't know.
we don't know, okay. All right.
So there is, I mean, that whole neighborhood is served by underground power, underground copper, telco, underground coax. And I think that's it for private utilities. So,
Okay.
and I don't know whether that fits in the 50-foot roadway easement or whether that's outside that roadway easement.
Ms. Crouch,
It gets very confusing. Again, those are private easements. So in our right of way in the streets, which is behind the curb, there's a lot of easements that run. Nothing changes about that area, and we have franchise agreements and other things where utilities can share that with us. But in terms of anything that we're abandoning on this particular easement, we have no awareness of somebody being in there with us. Is that correct, City Engineer Frazier? And so private things would remain unchanged. If there are private easements granted, this is unaffected by this, but anything else in the public right-of-way remains. It wouldn't take utilities
so
away.
who we ban this to, the owner would have the right to negotiate with any future
Right,
private
and
utility
they may
about.
already have private
They may have.
easements that are already traversing the property, and that doesn't change anything about that either.
Okay, all right. Mr. Selby, was there anything you'd like to add to this conversation? Is there any specific, would the council have any questions for Mr. Selby? Is there any question you would like to have Mr. Selby answer potentially?
I'm just trying to understand the plans for that 1.12 acres.
All right. Hold on just 1 second. If we could, sir, if you could return to your seat, we'll have Mr. Selby
Okay.
come forward and maybe answer that question. Mr. Selby? Thank you.
I have not developed any plans as of yet. This was the first part to see if I could get it abandoned. And then it'll be something residential, but it is a smaller parcel with all the setbacks. It will be some kind of light density.
Okay.
Mr. Selby, do you know if any private utilities are running through that lot? Do you have knowledge of that?
Not that
Just-
I'm aware,
Yeah.
not that I'm aware of.
All right, thank you.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Okay. Any other questions or comments from the council?
Did you close the public hearing?
Oh, yeah, thank you. Yes, sir.
I think it's for something different.
I was here today, Mr. Roy Anderson, Mayor Roy Anderson, and
We need name and address for the record,
my
sir.
name is Robert Cohn, 1550 STE 6, Oberlacker Road, Auburn, Alabama. And to be fact, on that, Mr. Roy Anderson, Mayor,
Yes, sir.
I gave you a documentation from Washington DC, a book that I donated to
Okay,
you.
hold on just
last-
1 second. Is this about this?
Yes, sir.
This right here, the item,
Yes, sir.
this is about 10,
Yes, sir.
10B1,
Yes,
about abandoning a utility easement.
Yes, sir. And 533 Lee Road, 57, Lot 88, 2017, I went through a bankruptcy. That has multifamily on my credit report. I came here today to try to get an identity theft. I'm living in an RV now. From everything that was said since I've been back by a lie that was told by Lee County that I was in jail in 1999.
does this relate to this topic
Yeah.
about vacation, the drainage and utility easement?
Yes, sir. It's no plumbing right
Citizens
now.
Communications comes after
This would be at the
these
end of,
business
this,
items.
we're specifically talking about this issue right now.
Well, I'm finna go back to the other side and see can I get a report to written up.
That'll be fine, and you're welcome to come back and talk to us at the end of the meeting, okay?
Who owned me, Mr. Ron Anderson?
Who
Mayor?
does what?
Who owned me since I've been living in Auburn, Alabama for
Who
20
owns you? All right, we
Yes,
can,
sir.
why don't you come back and we can talk about that, okay? All right. Does anybody like to, so the public hearing is still open? Anybody like to address this situation? Okay, we'll close the public hearing now. Any comments or questions from the council regarding this vacation?
Hey again. I'm sorry. Did you say that the city still maintains a right-of-way along Reynolds Drive? Or
That's dedicated right-of-way.
Okay, so the actual cross-hatching doesn't come all the way to the street, to the curb. We still have a little bit there that we could deal with,
getting there.
right?
That's correct.
All right, so, all right.
Yeah, so the cross-hatching, when you see, anytime we're showing you something that's a right-of-way or looks like a street, that's not the curb line, that's the width of the right-of-way. The curb's often inside of that. So it'll look like grass to somebody and then some curb X amount of feet later.
And are there any consequences of denying this request? What would happen if we voted?
City will have to continue to maintain this easement. So the things that you heard about, if it's got to be mowed in any way, shape, or form, or what have you, that's on us.
Okay, thank you.
And if the developer or the property owner does not maintain it in a satisfactory way, then the property owners beside it can make a
We
complaint.
have a weed abatement
Right, through the
ordinance,
weed
and we
abatement.
can address it through that.
So we hope that the property owner and developer doesn't have to have one of those types of communications.
Anything else from the council? Any other comments or questions? All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? And that motion carries.
Item 10B2 is a request from Selby Enterprises LLC to vacate an unneeded drainage and utility easement located at 1410 Reynolds Drive. A public hearing is required.
Move for approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Yes, sir.
Again, my name is Ken Stone. I live at 1529 Reynolds Drive. I'm also on the board of the Stone Creek Subdivision HOA. We did not receive advance notice of this hearing for the easement at 1410 Reynolds Drive, so I don't know what the rules are, whether our other notification was merely courtesy, or whether there's a requirement that as adjoining landowners or representing the adjoining landowners, we're supposed to receive notice, but we did not receive a letter that we can find about this easement vacation.
Okay. Ms. Crouch, is that
Not
our
to
policy?
defer to City Engineer Frazier, I think she's looking through some of her documents. There are specific state requirements, including that we have a public hearing, it's published in the newspaper and posted at the courthouse, but it is possible. HOAs are not required to be noticed. It probably depends on adjoining property owners. And that is City Engineer Frazier, is that correct?
Yes, but I think for easements, they don't have to notify adjoining property owners because the property is not being split. If this were right-of-way, the property would be split between both property owners. In the case of an easement, it just follows the state law of publishing at the courthouse.
Did you receive notice of the other?
Yes, in fact, well in advance, February,
Can double check.
February 7th is the date of the
Yeah, there's a letter from the city, Allison,
From Riley Bryce.
from Riley.
I can double check for you.
Okay.
It's up to the council if you want to continue with this, or if you want to postpone the public hearing to the next meeting.
Okay. I think that's the right thing to do, to let you get
Okay.
your, I'm sorry, Mr. Selby, I know you'd like to move forward tonight, but I think the right thing to do for our citizens is to notify you. And can we put this on the next agenda, first meeting in May?
That would be, you would need to postpone.
Okay, so we need a motion to postpone?
Yeah, and you would need a motion to postpone in a second, and then you do that to the May 3rd meeting.
Okay. Is the council okay with that?
I move to postpone to the May 3rd meeting. This is agenda item.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, so we'll pick this up at our first
And just
meeting in May.
informational, because you didn't close the public hearing, it will remain open on May 3rd.
Okay.
Thank
All right,
you.
Thank you.
Appreciate it.
And that meeting starts at 6 o'clock. All right, we'll move on.
All right. Item 10C1 authorizes the demolition of a dilapidated structure located at 556 Foster Street per section 1545 of the Code of the City of Auburn. A public hearing is required.
Move to approve. Second.
We have a motion and a second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. We'll close the public hearing. Any comments or questions from the council?
I do have a question about 556 Foster Street. When I was looking through the packet, I noticed there was not a name associated with the property. So when you're doing these demolitions, how do you actually contact the owner to let them know that I guess you're gonna tear this down?
Yes, if you approve this tonight, there's an additional 10 days a waiting period. And then after the additional 10 days, I am authorized to order it to be torn down. And kind of what you do here is we assess costs via property. There's a lien on the property for our demolition costs. But I'll have our chief building official, inspection services director, John Hoare, he can explain a little bit more.
When we identify one of these properties, we do a title search through our city attorneys to get the names of anybody that is associated with the property. We actually started this under a property owner who then sold the property to a mortgage company, or they became owners of it, so we had to go through the process again of another title search to make sure we contacted the right people. The mortgage company was originally talking about fixing the house up. We worked with them on it, and then they stopped communications with us. So we had to pick up the process again in order to have it demolished.
I guess, okay, and I'm okay with this, you know, to tell the truth, because it's our sewer. My question on that is, I lost my thought.
So Guardian Tax AL LLC is the owner of this property.
They are the current owner.
And there's not an individual who owns this property
ma'am.
at this current time.
And we, law requires us to send certified, but we send certified and regular mail because people don't like to sign for certified. And if we can find a phone number, we'll try calling them. The Guardian Tax just stopped all communications with us.
But you had previous communication and then they quit.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
I think it's important to note that this is the last thing that we like to do. We try every effort. We have programs. If we have folks that have income issues, we do everything we can to not do this until it becomes necessary. But also, as you'll see in your packet, a number of homes, we do neighborhood assessments, and in 2018, these were both, and you've got another one following, identified as issues. And in 2020, we started following up. And imagine we started doing that in 2020, not because of COVID, but we're here now in 2022 now asking you. So we spend a lot of time trying to do anything but tear it down, but we get to a point that we're here.
And I think what I was gonna ask is, okay, so once you tear the house down, so the property itself, the lien goes against that property?
It will go against the property tax. So when
The
they
prop-
go to pay their property taxes before December 31st, they'll have to pay it off at that time.
Okay.
And if they don't, it's like everything. We will eventually get our money. Whoever does buy it, whether it's sold on the courthouse steps or what have you, we will get our money back for the demolition.
Okay, any other questions? All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Item 10C2 authorizes the demolition of a dilapidated structure located at 637 Westview Drive per section 1545 of the Code of the City of Auburn. A public hearing is required.
Move approval.
Second.
All right, we have a motion and a second. We'll open the public hearing. If you'd like to address the council, please come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Okay. See no one, we'll close the public hearing. Any questions or comments from the council?
Well, I guess I have basically the same question of Ms. Brown, who owns this property here. So what was the conversation? Did you contact her and?
We have been in constant contact with her, and she is not able to demolish it herself. We've worked with her for a number of years. Our Community Services Department has worked with her trying to get some titles cleaned up, and she was not able to do that. So we've gotten to the point of 2 years of trying to get it resolved any other way. We can't.
Any other comments or questions? Sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no.
Okay, you good? Okay. All right. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, those are all the items of business we have on the agenda this evening.
Okay, thank you. At this time, we'll open the citizens' open forum. This is your opportunity to speak to the council about anything that might be on your mind. We'll ask you to come forward and give us your name and address for the record. Remember, you have 3 minutes, and remember to, your comments are for the council, okay? Not for the staff. Anyone?
I'm Robert Wilkins, 261 Denson Drive, here to talk about the ordinance, short-term rentals, 3288. I wanted to cover a couple of things. One is, I got a notice, not a notice, but a thing on Facebook where a gentleman who said, I apologize for bugging you here, but I just read about the Plainsman article about the city of Auburn sending you a cease and desist order for short-term rentals of your home, which probably explains why I can't reach you on Airbnb. If it's available, would love to rent your home, come in and would love nothing more than to support capitalism and freedom and to provide rental transactions with you for the weekend. I think it's very important. Second is, I took a drive today on Bent Creek Road. Thought I'd look at some other places that have Airbnb and not Airbnb. Not sure either of these houses have it. I would assume not. But anyway, I went on Nottingham Drive, down to Danbury Drive, Bentley Court. I mean, I felt like I was in England somewhere because it was some beautiful homes. And I wanted to say the homes that I went to, one here, these are all on Bentley Court, okay? This is not Ms. Kelly Griswold, it's not a hotel, it's just a residential home, but it's a nice home and so forth. Okay, second is, this house can have Airbnb if they'd like, okay? Across the nice street, okay, is another home. This one's harder to see, but it's a residential home. You cannot have Airbnb. This home cannot have Airbnb, but it's across the street. Okay, now what happened is I had to come up with a new name. This house here is just down on the corner, and I call it a hybrid short-term rental. Okay, and the reason I call it a hybrid, half of the house you can have Airbnb, the back half. The front half of this house, you cannot have Airbnb. What kind of ordinance have y'all developed? What kind of research did you do to come up with such silly stuff? I don't understand. You know, you put 151 people out, several now have had to sell their homes. Doesn't matter to you because someone else will occupy their homes because people do love Auburn. I love Auburn. But anyway, I don't understand why we have to do that kind of stuff. And I would like for y'all to get rid of the ordinance, period. And don't wait till the new people are on board, the mayor and the council. Do it now. Make a decision and do something about it. Okay? Thank you.
Yes, sir, thank you. Who would be next? Okay, anyone else? All right, is there a move to adjourn?
The gentleman we were gonna recall him for comment, but he
He left,
come back.
he left the building.
Okay, I'm
you.
sorry, thank you, Kelly. Anyone else? Thank you for reminding me. Okay, is there a move to adjourn? All right, we're adjourned.